Guys, sorry to leave you hanging so long. I'm gonna go over this briefly, quick as I can, because I gotta leave. I'll leave you guys with more later. Uh, this is the instructions. Stands water fuel cell section 1 is what I believe it's called. I forgot what site I got it off of. I'm sure all of you've read this before, but how it got overlooked, I don't know. It's memo water fuel cell 420 at the top. That's the hydrogen fracturing process is what he's calling it. It starts out talking about biblical foretells this event, but anyways, it starts out with a pulsing transponder, and if you look, it does not say transformer. It's because it's not a transformer, it's a transponder. Anything misspelled in here, Stan did purposely. He went through special care with all these instructions so that you could properly follow each one. You can read this. It's about 6 to 8 pages. You could read this within 10 minutes, but understanding it, it's not that hard to understand. It's quite obvious Stan was a mathematician. He's talking about a pulsing transponder, which is a transformer and a inductor. Then he talks about the blocking diode. Then he talks about the LC circuit, which in the dielectric properties of water, 78.54 ohms, with about 74 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And this basically tells you how the circuit works. Now, then he continues on with a bunch of very good information. Z-series, he's talking about the capacitor and the inductor to get your Z-series value. Every formula you need to construct this voltage intensifier circuit is in here. And actually, the voltage intensifier circuit is, and here's your water, it's 62% hydrogen, 31% oxygen, 17% nitrogen. He uses a voltage deflection process and step functions to polarize the water molecule. He uses voltage stimulation, and it causes polarization on anything containing an electron or a proton. But here's his formulas to how to calculate the coil sizes. This even tells you how to calculate the resonant frequency of a giving LC circuit of this type using the water capacitor. And he even gives you a second formula to even confirm how he even did that. Everything he says you can do, he backs it up with a fact. This is how you calculate the voltage across the inductor or the capacitor. I really don't have enough time to go over each and every one of these, but I'm just showing you that they are here, and these are Stan's instructions. Inductor C is made of or composed of resistive wire to further restrict current flow, and there's another formula that relates to the VIC circuit that's really a voltage deflection circuit, kind of like the same way they used to shoot electrons out of a cathode ray tube. And Tesla had a cathode ray gun, and Tesla has a hydrogen gas gun. They're similar. He's talking about potential energy. Here's another formula for the ions. And all these formulas that he has is right here in this memo. Voltage dissociation of the water molecule. He's talking about how a positive voltage zone deflects the electron. And if you read all of this, he's talking about laser and thermal explosive energy. That's where the electron extraction circuit comes in. It actually destroys an electron. And it tells you right here, resistive coil wire, resistive coil wire, resistive coil wire. It tells you what kind of diode in these papers also as well. And here's the equivalent circuit. He backs everything up. Here's the positive voltage potential pulling on the electron on this side and pushing it on the other. And this right here, it took me a pretty good while to figure out what this was. I pondered at that for a few years, couldn't figure it out. But actually, this one's actually missing a glass window on the side, and a laser is shooting into this cavity. This is a very shiny object here, and it's reflecting off of it and hitting the sides, and the sides are very reflective. Well, that's your anode and your cathode, and he's using laser energy to further boost the hydrogen fracturing process. You see, there's the laser energy in between the water molecule, and not only do you do this with the water molecule after it comes out of the water molecule stage, you then further do this with gas, the gas atoms. There's your electron extraction circuit right there. That's what destroys the electron if you decide to use that. And here's the stack to do the voltage deflection or voltage intensifier circuit on a stack that causes it to have a thermal explosive energy. And this is the very main one here that I'm working on now. That's injecting photons, and with the voltage intensifier circuit. And that's pretty much all this one is here, and that's talking about storing liquid and hydrogen gas that has laser primed atoms in these storage liquid tanks, which is probably another reason he was killed. But this one here is the United States patent 4936961. I don't have a lot of time to go over this, but the one I just showed you was your instructions. This one will be your parts list. Figure 1 is the one you will be building. This is what the parts list is for. This very small single tube VIC. This is the parts list for this. And there you can see the dot is 1N1198. And resonant charging choke. Doesn't tell you resistive wire any of that because he's not going to tell you. He done told you in the other one. And there's how the process works again. And here on start page, label number 4, here's where the parts list come into play. You will use number 40, which is a ferrite 06 permag powdered as described and blah blah blah. The core is 1.5 inch in diameter, a quarter inch in thickness, 200 turns of that of 200 gauge copper wire. Notice he said copper is provided, and a coil of 600 turns of 36 gauge wire. He doesn't say copper, that means resistance wire for a secondary winding. He tells you the diodes are 1N1198, and he go on down as the stepped up pulse enters the first inductor formed on 100 turns of 24 gauge wire, 1 inch in diameter. That's obviously resistance wire. I already know that. He's already told us that. Electromagnetic field is formed around the inductor, and he tells you how to pulse it. Then he goes on to say that the phenomenon in the water capacitor voltage continually increases to about 1,000 volts or more. And there's your instructions in this little book here, and this is 6 to 8 pages here. And if you want to, you can download what the design of these electronic units simplified by means of universal performance curves by J.E. Maryland. He's talking about getting different resonant frequencies and the very, very basics of transformers and what a transponder is. He says transformers, but this is how transponders work. So that is all I'm going to share for today. But I got similar results by using, because I'm waiting on my parts list to come in, just 100 ohm resistors after the chokes, and there's my pulsing transponder. And again, the transponder is basically a voltage deflection process. It uses progressive, which, if you know what progressive means, step functions, to polarize molecules. Voltage stimulation causes polarization on anything containing electrons and protons. And again, you get 62% hydrogen, 31% oxygen, 17% nitrogen. Now, with that being said, before Stan came out with the voltage intensifier circuit, he was running his engines on water already. That was before he ever even got the voltage intensifier circuit. The other patents I'm not going to go over right now. I don't have time, but he was using a third plate and he was separating the hydrogen from the oxygen. He was collecting the hydrogen only, and you just really didn't need a lot of hydrogen. Stan had figured out that you could mix the non-combustible gas back in with the hydrogen to kind of thin it out a little bit and go from there. But that's all for now.